All right, everybody, welcome to New York's #2 sports show. It's producer Casey, as always, with Mr. Derek Fask. And as the great Joe Beningo would say, what a freaking disaster. The Jets lose 35-8 to the Buffalo Bills, which is a NFL record for 5 straight games losing by 23 plus points. And there's a couple other amazing NFL records to get into later. But more importantly here, we have to talk about the New York Giants winning 34-17 against the Dallas Cowboys, essentially removing themselves from having the #2 pick in the draft, end up falling to 5. Derek, really, the floor is yours, my friend. You take it away.
Yeah, it's been so fucking frustrating being a Giant fan. And look, like, obviously I've been very fortunate. Obviously I'm speaking to you as a Jets fan. Obviously I've been very lucky to have, seen success, of
Right.
course. So I don't take any of that away. But in the here and now, really what has been, we could look at it like in the last 5 years, but I take it more back to over a decade ago. Yes, there's been a couple of random playoff appearances, but the Giants have been one of the very worst teams in the NFL, and you have constantly in recent seasons where this team is really fucking horrible the whole season, and they find a way to win these totally meaningless games to fuck up draft positioning, which has major effects. And sometimes, as we spoke about in recent episodes, sometimes it's turned out okay, right? Some situations I think it was really bad. Some, it ended up actually maybe being favorable to them. But also, you know, Joe Schoen, to me, and even if they freaking lost this game, I think sadly the tea leaves were suggesting that he'd be back. Now, I am hoping that on Black Monday, somehow he's let go, but I doubt it. It really feels as if he'll be retained. I don't know if we'll get like a formal sort of press release on that or anything. Um, Certainly if he is let go, which again I think is a long shot, I will be, we will be here to discuss it for sure. That'd be massive news, but I don't know. We'll see. If he's retained, I don't know that necessarily I'll have a reaction on that because I kind of expect him to be back. So that's the Joe Shane side of it, which is hugely important. But I'm just so frustrated that first off, I understand players aren't going to tank, but there's a combination for me of like, I'm so annoyed that the Giants like have these like quote unquote spirited efforts into the game at the end of the season. But then also it's the opponents that they face as well. Like, and again, I may have brought it up as well previously on the show, but random things that occur from opponents where like it didn't affect draft positioning so much, but 2020, where the Giants almost had that weird NFC East championship where they finished 6-10, and all of a sudden the Eagles out of nowhere, like, and it wasn't like the Eagles were like a top 5 pick. The Eagles weren't that good, but their pick was kind of like random, right? They were, if I remember correctly, kind of like give or take in the 10, like maybe like 8 through like 10 or something, right? It wasn't like it was a top 2 pick. And, they, Carson Wentz might have been hurt. I can't remember, but Jalen Hurts, who was like a rookie at that time, comes in and they pull him as well. And they bring in, I want to get the name right here of the QB that came in for the Eagles. I will get that to you shortly. And this was a Sunday night football game as well.
Right. It was the last game of the season, actually. It was, yeah.
Last game of the season. It was Nate Sudfeld. Nate Sudfeld fucking comes in. And so it's like, and the Cowboys today, like, I understand, like, if I'm a Cowboy fan, I wouldn't really want necessarily Dak Prescott to be playing or CD Lamb or George Pickens, so on and so forth. But it's like, just as an example, the Detroit Lions, like this week, if the Giants, now obviously I know it's divisional matchups, but if the Giants had somehow played the Lions, Dan Campbell went full throttle, full squad, you know, Bengals. I know they lost the Bengals, and we're thankful for that as Giant fans because we could have dropped as low as 7, but because of a Browns win and a Commanders win, we actually are now 5th, which we'll talk about. I'm still not thrilled about. But yeah, just it's the combination of things where it feels like, and obviously last week with the Raiders was a full-on tank job. So it's just really frustrating. All of a sudden, Joe Milton comes in the second half. I mean, real quick fucking synopsis of this game. It was close early. Lots of players out on both sides, I'd say. trading field goals back and forth. There was a Dak Prescott fumble, which like resulted in a Giants. I think might have been the first 3 points of the game. Yeah, it was. And then the Cowboys, after a really good Cavante Turpin return, they get a touchdown to make it 10-6. And then the Giants, they're able to kind of get a fortunate field goal. And the reason behind that was because Darius Slayton breaks a random. I think it was a 3rd and 11, and Darius Slayton. I think this was one where he breaks a tackle, gets a first down. It should have been Cowboys should have had it up 10-6 with the ball, but they don't, and it results in the Giants field goals. The Giants weren't exactly punching in for touchdowns, but they were, against a really bad Dallas defense. They were moving the ball, even though the Giants didn't even have Wando. I mean, Wando Robinson wasn't even playing this game, and then the Cowboys eventually get it to a 4th and 2 at the 3. They go for it, and it's unsuccessful. If that was somehow successful, it's 17-9. Now, again, the plan all along was clearly for the Cowboys to bench starters at the beginning of the second half. So that happens, and all of a sudden the Giants, where it really, the biggest moment where I was just absolutely furious. Look, this is me, right? I want Jackson Dart to do well, and I understand if some fans thought it was cool, but the frickin' Jackson Dart touchdown to Daniel Bellinger, 3rd and 16 at the Cowboy 29 with about 30 seconds left in the half. The Cowboy pretty much has Dart dead to rights, sacked, to the point where it may take the Giants out of field goal range. It probably would have. Maybe they would have tried a long Ben Sauls field goal, but Dart's able to escape out of there, fling it over to Daniel Bellinger, and he like sort of diagonal across the field gets a 29-yard touchdown. And right in that moment, I'm like, okay, yep, Giants winning this football game. And sure enough, 16-10 at half. They come out of half, and Joe Milton and company are coming on in for the Cowboys, and they basically are pulling all their offensive starters. They go 3 and out to start. Giants then get a touchdown. And they had decent field position there. And there was not necessarily roughness penalty on Quinn Williams, who made his return to MetLife Stadium. And some of these were ticky-tack calls, honestly, but also the Cowboys were extremely undisciplined as well and took really fucking stupid penalties. And that was really big here. And so the Giants end up with a 13-yard touchdown pass on a 3rd down from Dart to Tyrone Tracy. Quinn Williams takes necessary roughness penalty after the play, and so does another Cowboy who was disqualified. And then it's a random 2-point conversion on a trick play from Devin Singletary to Darius Slayton. Makes it 24-10. Brandon Aubrey, who fucking, in a big spot, 60-plus yard field goal early in the year, Aubrey drills it to force overtime. In this situation, he misses the field goal. A 57-yard field goal wide left. Then the Cowboys get a little bit of life on a Tyrone Tracy fumble. We go to the 4th quarter. The one good job drive by Joe Milton ends up in a touchdown for Maffa, 1-yard touchdown. So it's a 7-point game. And then really the spot where the Giants may have had a chance, 3rd and 19, Giants had the ball at their own 18 with 14 minutes left. And there's a pass interference penalty on Carson as he hit Isaiah Hodgins before the ball got to him. So it's like the Cowboys could just never get off the field. I think I'm forgetting another big play earlier where like a 2nd and long play where the Cowboys took a unnecessary roughness type personal foul type penalty. And yeah, from there the Giants settled for 3, 10-point game, and then on the first play of the next drive, Milton throws an interception to fucking Bobby Okereke, who, last week had an interception. This week, the guy didn't do a damn thing the last 2 seasons, but finds a way now to do something. Then the Giants get a touchdown, make it 34-17. It was Singletary 6-yard run, and that's all she wrote. 34-17 Giants win. They break their losing streak against the Cowboys, an even longer losing streak against Dak Prescott, who technically got the start. So the Giants end up 4-13, 1 game better than last year. So they've had 7 wins the last 2 seasons. 3 of them came at the very end of the season. Last year when they beat the Colts in the 7th last week of the year, and now the last 2 games this year. I mean, they have all these losses, which I was happy about. I wanted the losses for many, as the reasons that I've laid out multiple times, and they ruined it all by fucking losing to the Raiders. Sorry, beating the Raiders felt like a loss. Beating the Raiders and beating the Cowboys. And in both situations, if they just lost Raiders, they would have locked up the number 1 spot. You could have fucking beaten the Cowboys, and it wouldn't have mattered. And then the crazy thing is that the Raiders, they end up winning their game at 4-25. Now, look, if the Giants had lost, maybe the Raiders would have found a way to lose. But I don't know for sure. I don't know. Pete Carroll, I think, is gone. So the way I'm looking at this, there is a chance with the way the Chiefs were with their quarterback situation. I don't know. Like, as bad as last week was, as long as the Giants had just lost this week and everything else stays the same, the Giants would have had the number 1 pick. But I would have even settled for the number 2 pick. And ultimately now the Giants are picking 5th. And could it end up working out? Yeah, but for me, it's not even about the player. It was about the Giants have so many holes to fill. I wanted to trade down, and they could have done that, and now that won't happen. Or if it does, it'll be completely insignificant. We don't know that Dante. Look, as far as the number 2 pick goes, we still don't know about Dante Moore. Right? It's up in the air, and obviously the Jets are highly affected in that situation. There's still a lot unknown, but I just can't stand it. And, look, for John Mara, I hope that his health gets better. I really do. Right? Like, that needs to be acknowledged. That aside, I just can't stand this franchise where it's just these moral victories and, John Mara, again, I wish I could give examples, but John Mara's talking about his cancer treatment. I don't want to go there, but just like how he's so thrilled about these wins. These are not wins that are going to do anything for you but fuck up your future. And for Joe Schoen to fucking be back here in all likelihood is an absolute fucking joke. This guy has done nothing. You had 3 wins last year and 4 wins this year after a really, really disappointing 6-win stretch the season before that. And with these wins, this is the first time the Giants have had consecutive wins since the Tommy DeVito stretch, which basically cost you Drake May. So this was the first time they had back-to-back wins since basically the middle towards the end of 2023. This is an inept team. I understand there's Jackson Dart. I understand there are some pieces, but I've seen this show time and time again. I don't think that this team, look, I'd love to feel differently. This is going to be a team that I think is going to struggle for as long as Joe Schoen is here. I'll tell you this. As long as Joe Schoen is the GM, he will be fired before the Giants see a playoff appearance again. And whether that be next year or the year after that, he would have to luck. The only way it would happen is if he somehow lucks into a head coaching situation, right? If somehow, like a John Harbaugh just sort of drops on their lap, that could maybe, change things a bit, right? He can luck into this. I'm not saying that isn't possible, but it is so fucking frustrating watching this team. And all you want is a little bit of reward after another embarrassing gut punch season to at least say at the end of the road, it's like, all right, you got your ticket, right? You got the number 1 pick. You got the number 2 pick. No, you end up 4-13, which is a horrible record, and end up with the number 5 pick. I mean, it's just absolutely brutal, man. Like, it's the same song and dance. And I got to tell you, and I'll probably be rooting for the Giants in week 1, probably, but I really am tempted if Joe Schoen is back, and I'm not really thrilled with the head coaching hire. I got to tell you, it'll probably be the same thing as it's been for me, where I'll root for the first 2 games. They'll just lose the first 2, then I'll basically be rooting for them by the end of the late September. But, I think we're headed there again, and I'm almost more eager to do so before I love this team. I really root for their success. And, I guess I have more of a problem with Joe Schoen coming back than anything else. But the draft pick stuff really does bother me because I think that a trade down would have been exactly what was needed. And I think that it really would have helped them for a team that really honestly doesn't have such amazing draft capital. They really don't. So yeah, just same old bullshit. I knew the Cowboy game, everyone was talking about the Raider game. And look, if you just lost the Raider game, you would have been fine. The Cowboy game wouldn't have mattered. But I kept on saying,
yeah, you did.
Cowboys, if they're out of it, that's going to be a problem. And sure enough, it was. And it ended up being a worst case scenario, man. So I don't know. Same shit, different year for the Giants.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, man, you pretty much nailed exactly what was going to happen with the Giants at the tail end of the season, right? I mean, I feel like you called that they were going to beat the Raiders, and you knew that this Cowboy game was going to be, a game that they probably weren't going to care much about, them being Dallas. I mean, and I think you're right, man. I mean, to me at this point, it's like, I mean, it's similar situation with the Jets, which we'll get into in a little bit. But I mean, if you keep Joe Schoen here, I mean, to me, it's malpractice. I don't know how you can bring this guy back, given everything that you just laid out. It's ridiculous. And I mean, I found a similar stat to the one that you alluded to earlier with that the Giants are 8-30 in their last 38 games, and 4 of those 8 wins were in week 17 and 18 when they were already eliminated from playoff contention. So, I mean, these completely insignificant wins that end up costing you draft capital, and the Raiders win. And like you said, even though, yes, it was a game that happened in the 4 o'clock block instead of the 1 o'clock block or whatnot, yes, maybe they would have, benched a couple of players here, but looking at that game, if you watched any of it, I mean, that third string quarterback for Kansas City was awful. I mean, I'm blanking on his name right now. Forgive me, but exactly, it was horrible. So they really could have won that game. And like you said, Pete Carroll's probably gone. So maybe it's like a last hurrah effort. So who knows? And it's like, the Giants really essentially pulled something that the New York Jets would have done in years past, right? Win these meaningless games to just screw their fucking position. And now you're picking 5. And look, it's pick 5, like you said, Cleveland winning, right? Like, certain things did happen where at least it's not 7 and now you're 5 and there's still some allure. Like maybe someone would want to swoop in that and you can trade down or something in this scenario. But still, I mean, obviously you were pretty much locked in pick 2 and then all of this has to happen the way it does. So yeah, man, it's rough, man. It's a really bleak situation, and just to tell everybody, we're recording this Sunday night right after the Sunday night football game. So, any firings or anything like that could potentially be happening on Monday haven't happened yet. So as if something does happen, maybe we will get to the news that Schoen is fired tomorrow. And obviously we, at least you will hop on and talk about that. But yeah, dude, I was feeling for you pretty hard, man. My dad's best friend is a huge Giant fan as well, and he was pretty despondent after everything that went down.
Yeah, Casey. Yeah. I'm pretty distraught.
Yeah,
I feel really. It's such a beat. I feel beat down.
Yeah,
like
right.
It is so frustrating to see this stuff happen year in year out. It's hard for me to be optimistic about where they're headed, and at least that there was some self-awareness where, hey, you win these meaningless games against a team that was the worst in the league, that had a horrible roster, and then decided to bench their best players. And then against another team that basically was a little bit banged up as well and totally benched their starters in the second half. It'd be one thing if you do that, but at least you have the wherewithal to get rid of Joe Schoen. Then I could come on here and say, you know what? Sucks about the draft picks, but fine.
Right.
I would be completely all right with that. But for him to survive this and go into year 5 is absolutely, like you said, total malpractice. And it's just the same John Mara.
Yeah.
His reputation has just been getting worse and worse and worse. But Wellington Mara should be rolling in his grave. It is really sad, the depths of this fucking franchise that was once a proud franchise that is a laughing stock. And I understand that I understand that things maybe could turn around. I get it, but it's a bad team. Jackson Dart was good, and look what it still was.
Yeah.
He was good, and they still couldn't fucking win shit.
Right.
I mean, it's a problem, man. Like, this team has so many holes, and it would have just been great to somehow have, been able to gain another first-round pick, right? Maybe like in 2027 or something like that. And that's pretty much off the table in all likelihood now. So you just want something to latch on to, right? I was taking some enjoyment and kind of those losses stacking, as embarrassing as it was, right? Like in the beginning, like it was really around the Denver game where I totally turned right around there. I mean, I kind of rooted for the Giants in that next Eagle game, but kind of knew that nothing good was going to happen.
That Denver game, you had to win that game. That was everything,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, for one moment in time, it was like, wait a minute, like during that game, it's like, and now Denver ends up actually being the freaking 1 seed. Like for a moment, it's like, wow, the Giants are like absolutely like just blowing their brains out. The Broncos, that is,
right,
and then they blew their own brains out because that's what the Giants do. And it's just torture as a fan. Again, I understand that the ironic thing is, obviously, you're a Jet fan, right? So and it's always in the back of my mind. You've dealt with a lot more, sort of heartbreak and just really embarrassment, which we'll talk about soon here. But yeah, man, like I'm really, really upset about it. Just the culmination, right? It's what's in a vacuum, but it's also the culmination of this season. Me and you went into this kind of knowing, I think we both knew well that it was going to be bad. It probably even went worse than that we could have thought.
Yeah.
But you kind of lump, but at this point, I mean, you kind of lump all these seasons together, right? For the Giants and the Jets. But it's just incredible that as bad as we felt going into September, it ends up somehow being worse.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that except for Dart and that side of it, which is important, of course.
Yes.
But I walk away where it's like, once Dable, as soon as you decided to fire Dable, Shane should have went right with him. Joe Shane is such a culprit of this team's inability. There's no depth on this team. We can go chapter and verse on the ineptitude as far as this Giant team. And Joe Shane's been here for 4 years. We've seen what we needed to see. It's over. It needs to be over. I don't care that John Mara's health is bad. That's a terrible excuse. I don't seriously. That cannot be a reason why you don't make this move. And no one would ever admit to that. But that is an absolute joke. Chris Mara, someone needs to be making that decision. Someone needs to be in John Mara's ear or with some wherewithal to say, hey, this guy is not fit for the job. And Shane now, he sickens me. I look at him and it sickens me how, in all walks of life, when you put out that type of output in any walk of life, any job, you're getting fucking fired.
Yep.
I wish that it wasn't that way, but that's what it is. That's what it is, right? But for some reason with him, he's able to get a free pass. And we're going to be here next year and it's going to be the same conversation. The fact that they were brought back going into this year was a major question mark. I mean, I didn't want it. I wanted them to be fired. And the fact that they brought him back, which was against the fans' wishes, and followed up with this, and the fact that he's back again, it is crazy. And it's why I really kind of just don't want them. I just want Joe Shane fired, and then I can move forward. But
yeah, I mean, dude, it's
whatever.
I mean, it needs to happen. I'm praying that it does happen for you tomorrow, just so we can, move on from this chapter, because I mean, just the amount of historically bad football that we've had to experience as New York football fans, just period here. It's just rough, man. I mean, that was the thing, right? As a Jets fan, I could at least sometimes root for you guys because you guys would be somewhat relevant or in the mix here. And it's like, both of us, we both thought that we were going to finish 7-10, I think, this year, I believe, when we did our predictions at the beginning of the year.
Somewhere
look at that, somewhere in that range. And, we were off by about 3 or 4 games here. So, just absolutely dreadful. And the thing is, it's like, the Jets, I feel like, are in I mean, it's not quite the same situation, but, the way that you feel about Joe Shane is really the way I feel about Aaron Glenn now, bro. The Jets, I mean, just to remind everybody, 15 years now, no playoffs, okay? By the way, 0 interceptions on the year. That's an NFL record. That hasn't happened since 1933. I mean, this was like before football was actually football. I mean, this is what we're talking about, people without fucking helmets on running into each other. It's unbelievable, Aaron Glenn, defensive head coach, 0 interceptions on the season. Mind you, we did actually get a pick this game, but then it got overturned because I think the guy's knee was down or something like that. But that's besides the point, because the Jets were basically losing 35-0 in this game against the Buffalo Bills. Mind you, without Josh Allen, he played the first, snap to keep his consecutive streak going. But it was basically Mitch Trubisky and the second and third string starters on the Buffalo Bills annihilating the New York Jets. I mean, we made this was again, we were talking about this last week, with all these other quarterbacks that, Trevor Lawrence looked like John fucking Elway. I mean, this is Mitch Trubisky's best fucking game ever. I mean, it's ridiculous what these quarterbacks look like against this team that, we have a defensive-minded head coach. We have no fucking interceptions on the year, and we letting these quarterbacks that, most of these quarterbacks are mediocre, are just marching down and just can do anything they want against us. It's hard to fathom, bro. I mean, I mentioned this earlier at the top of the show, but, we broke obviously the 0 interceptions is a record, but the other one is that, this is 5 straight games losing by 23 plus points. I mean, 5 in a row. That is insane. Garrett Wilson is our leading receiver for the season. He hasn't caught a pass since October 12th. I mean, what are we doing here, man? I mean, how sad is that? I don't, it's and it's just hard too because I mean, we've talked about this yet, like last week too. But it's like, what does Aaron Glenn do well? Nothing. I mean, the offense is abysmal. Yes, I understand it's Brady Cook, but again, just to remind everybody, he wanted Justin Fields. He brought Justin Fields here. He told everybody Mike Tomlin couldn't coach this guy right. I can. Okay? Let me bring in my buddy Steve Wilkes to help me with the defense because, we're the best defensive guys here. We're going to fucking turn this shit around. Okay, 0 interceptions on the year, and Steve Wilkes isn't even here anymore. So, what are we doing here with Aaron Glenn? It's like, yes, I understand that we have the second pick in the draft now and the 16th pick, luckily because of that Sauce Gardner trade with the Colts. But how could I feel confident in this guy with all this capital that the Jets have right now? I mean, this is the golden opportunity here. To me, if you fired Aaron Glenn now, this is the best, most alluring time that the Jets could possibly be for a coach, right? You have all these picks. You're probably gonna have Dante Moore. We aren't sure what's gonna happen with that, but the more that I think about it, it's like I don't think he's ever gonna be picked. He's not gonna be this high next year because next year's quarterback class is a lot more. There's a lot more depth to that quarterback class. So. But if he doesn't want to play with the Jets, I guess that's fair. I mean, Peyton Manning did it to us, and and Bill Belichick coached us for a game and decided he didn't want to be with us. So I don't know, man. It's just like this guy. He has there's nothing there that makes you feel confident that he's gonna him and Muji are gonna team up and they're gonna really lift Dante Moore up to some, upper echelon here and everything's going to get turned around and, this defense might actually get a turnover this fucking century. It's bleak, bro. It's bleak. I mean, and we lost 5 of our 6 division games by double digits. The only one that wasn't was the Miami Dolphins one, but in that game, we were getting fucking smoked, but then we just scored a bunch of garbage time scores to make it closer than it was. But it's like we're just so non-competitive. And now, I'm hearing reports from a lot of Jets insiders about people agents with these players that are coming into the draft, just talking about how obviously they don't want their players coming to the Jets. And look, I mean, they don't have really a choice. If the Jets draft them, but it's just I just don't know how people can, back this guy because it's like I see people on Twitter. There's been so many people on Twitter because a lot of the real, Jet talking heads Jake Asman and Rich Cimini, it's just all these guys are all in agreement here, Ian O'Connor or whatever, all in agreement about Aaron Glenn just not being the guy. And it's let's rip the Band-Aid off. They did it with Jerron Mayo. Let's just do it and get it over with. And there's these people online that are give this guy a chance, give this guy a chance. And it's we started 0-7 with this guy. It wasn't because everyone's blaming it. Oh, well, we don't have Quinnen and Sauce anymore. It's we were 0-7 with Quinnen and Sauce. Right. Okay? We were 0-7 with Justin Fields and, this, this RPO fucking style of offense or whatever the hell we were going to do with Justin Fields. It completely failed. And this guy, he's just so in over his head, bro. So but it's it's the same thing as what you're saying about Joe Schoen. It's all I'm hearing is that he's going to come back. He signed this long-term deal with Woody and Woody's not going to, give up, all that money and to pay Glenn to get lost. He's going to want to keep him here. And I just feel the same thing as you. It's here we are. We're going to be here next year. The Jets are going to be fucking 1-5 in October. It's going to be over already. And where he's probably going to get canned. And then we're going to another fucking lost season here, dude. So it's I know I probably should be a little bit happier about, the situation, at least with how everything fell with the draft and everything like that. But in terms of me feeling confident about how things are going to go next year, I mean, I have no confidence. I mean, it's sad. It's sad.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you, man.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's interesting how obviously you guys had the more favorable draft pick, but yeah, Aaron Glenn, I'd be surprised. We've talked about this. He
Yeah.
seems like he's in way over his head.
Yeah. I mean,
I really, and like you said, may as well rip the Band-Aid off now. You kind of know what you're getting. Look, could things turn on next year? Sure, anything's possible, but I don't know.
like, for example, dude, like he would be like, if he did turn it around, he would be the outlier in a
Yes.
situation like this,
Exactly,
right? No coach
exactly.
that goes fucking 3-14 usually miraculously turns things around.
Right.
So
and the way that it was too.
Yeah,
like
right.
starting out 0-7.
yeah,
Winning 3 random games.
Oh,
I mean, really,
forget it.
If we really want to be honest, and totally getting just absolutely annihilated in these games. I understand the roster's not very good, but at least, if you're a decent coach, you can hang in there somewhat. So these are not games.
No.
I mean, these are like really not competitive NFL games at all.
It's
And
not.
like you said, against division opponents too. So yeah, man, as a Jet fan, it's like, sure, you have all the draft capital, but the current roster as assembled now is not good at all. And the coaching seems absolutely atrocious. So it's like, in a way, like, if Aaron Glenn's back in a sick way, you almost like don't want to take I almost wouldn't want to have a quarterback.
Right.
I'd almost I want to line up the coach with the QB ideally.
100%. 100%.
And with the Giants, I kind of wish, with Dave, that's going to be a little bit unaligned. It's perfect if you can kind of get ideally like the GM, coach, and QB kind of all at the same juncture. I think that just breeds a better chance of success.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I mean, look, there's obviously going to be some excitement in terms of just, again, the draft capital as we've discussed. But yeah, man, as long as Aaron Glenn, it sounds like he's going to be back.
Yeah.
That guy just doesn't seem like he knows what he's doing. And I don't know, maybe you know better than me.
Yeah.
When I'm seeing these scores, and it's just, even the scores are actually misleading. Like,
Right.
Is the team? Is there a motivate? Like, are they giving up? Like, is his kind of words just kind of going in one ear out the other, or is it more the roster's just horrible, or I guess is it both? Like,
I mean, I guess it's essentially both, but yeah, I mean, I don't think they believe in him. I think, he just also plays a style of football that is like so old school and antiquated at this point. It's just, I mean, we've seen it time and time again with these defensive coaches. It's just this era of the NFL. 9 times out of 10, the defensive coach does not succeed. Barring someone like a Mike Tomlin or something that's been in the league for 18 fucking years, or like the Mike McDonald guy in Seattle. But it's like most of the time these things don't work. Like, I just don't even understand like why. I don't know why we even got him in the first place, but I understand it was like the whole Detroit thing. So you thought that you were going to catch lightning in a bottle or something like that in that regard, and him being the former player. But yeah, I mean, he's just he thought he could handle this job and clearly cannot. And every decision that he's made, that he's put his foot down and made, like the Justin Fields thing, has backfired in spectacular fashion. So, like, yeah.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. I mean, again, 0 interceptions on the year. And there's a 17-game season.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
you cannot make this shit up. Like, it's just asinine. The whole thing is just so asinine. And like, that's what I mean. Like, I feel like any logical Jet fan, I feel like is just like, dude, we got to end this now. Like, Woody Johnson, if you really want to like prove to us that like you actually care about fucking maybe getting us in the playoffs after 15 years, like, you got to do something bold here. You have to rip it. Like, this guy is just not it. Like, what more do you need to see? He doesn't have, like you said, the players don't play for him. His play, the offense that he's, supervising with Tanner Engstrom is so unimaginative, and like, it's like 1980s football here, and it's not working, man. So if we're getting fucking Dante Moore with this second pick, get somebody that is offensive minded. Cliff Kingsbury, I would take. Even Mike McCarthy right now, I would take. Like anybody with some kind of an offensive scheme here. We need something like that, bro. And I know we tried to do that with fucking Adam Gase, which was a complete disaster, and I still don't understand that whole thing. But we need to reapproach this with an offensive perspective here. I mean, it's the only way I feel like things are going to change.
I agree. I
Yeah,
totally agree. It's just incredible. I'm looking. I mean, Mitch Trubisky. I mean, a
Yeah.
couple of things. Aaron Glenn, and I know it's not fair to base things off one game, but and context is important here. But the last game Aaron Glenn coached for the Detroit Lions was a home game in the divisional round against the Washington Commanders,
right.
and they absolutely got their ass kicked.
Yep.
Like the Lions defense could not do anything to stop them at all. And again, I know it's not fair to just judge on one game. I'm just saying though, the last game that he had, which is a big one,
That was. Yep.
he absolutely could not stop rookie Jaden Daniels at all. And it's just amazing. Mitch Trubisky, 22 for 29, 259 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no picks.
Yeah.
And a situation where, just like what Drake made the week before, and with Trevor Lawrence before that, like, if they
and Tyler Shuck too, bro. I mean, like, we're not even
Right.
talking about fucking like the best in the fucking business here. We're like, I mean, yeah, like, what are we talking about?
Right.
Yeah.
And if the Jets were able to keep it close, it would have been more than that. But basically, they didn't need to do anything for the whole second half, basically, in these games.
Yeah.
Like, these are numbers that were compiled basically at most through 3 quarters.
Yeah.
Mitchell Trubisky,
Right.
with basically no offensive line there. James Cook was long out of the game. I mean, it was pretty unbelievable. That's the type of shit, dude, that really should get a coach fired.
I mean, that's right. Like, that's what I'm
Really,
saying.
like even if somehow Woody Johnson and Muji or whoever was going in set, like, that's the type of stuff that really could change hearts and minds. That is embarrassing as a franchise. Like, I don't know. Like, it's. I think he's going to be back, but that's a mistake. Just, you're delaying the inevitable.
It's so clear. And like you said, bro, I mean, you nailed it. Like, if this game was somewhat competitive and we lost, I would probably feel the same way. But like, the fact that it was 35-0 in basically towards the end of the fourth quarter with Mitchell Trubisky basically leading the entire way, and the Jets just scored a garbage time touchdown on their last drive. Like, I mean, it was 35-0 essentially. And I mean, it's like, what are we doing here? I don't get it. But look, we have the draft picks, so I guess we'll see. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I guess we have to see what happens with Dante Moore if he ends up declaring. It's funny enough, right? Mendoza and him are going against each other in the next round of the college football playoffs, so that'll be one that I'll definitely pay attention to here. So we'll see if he decides to declare, but I mean, that's what we really have going for us here, is because if he doesn't declare, maybe we, try and do a thing that you guys were trying to do at number 2 and just try and collect even more capital, maybe, gearing up for 2027 when we already have those 3 first-round picks here or so. I don't know, but it's just like, again, it's bleak, bro. It's bleak. The Ravens just lost tonight. Maybe Harbaugh becomes available. I mean, you guys probably are going to go after him as well, but if there is a situation here where he's interested in the role, I mean, Woody Johnson, you have to pull the trigger. Yeah.
It's kind of crazy, and I'm not saying that he's a great coach, but it just speaks to, I know there's different timelines.
Yeah.
And I want to actually get this right as far as how long he was head coach, but the Falcons fired their GM and their head coach, right? So that's part of it, and but it's just funny how, I guess, Raheem Morris was there for how many years in Atlanta? I don't think it was very long.
I think it was 2 full seasons, right? Yeah.
2 seasons. And I know that the GM was fired, and that's a huge, and that kind of changes the narrative. But it's like funny how Raheem Morris, who goes 0-9 in year 1, and then 8-9 in year 1, and then 8-9 in year 2, with like kind of a spirited back end of the schedule.
Yeah.
He's let go, but yet we're talking about Aaron Glenn. Like, I know it's year 1, but him at 3-14, it's like, he'll be back. Like, it just, different organizations kind of have different priorities and values, and it's like, I don't know. It seems like I know Michael Penix, that whole Penix Cousins thing was a bit of a strange situation, but it's funny that teams, they're ripping off the Band-Aid, and yet our organizations are choosing not to do that.
Yeah, our organizations are just stuck in like the past and just everything
Yes.
in their philosophies on everything.
Yes.
And it's just continuing to bite them in the ass. And it's just so frustrating because it's just like us as fans, we saw this most of this shit coming from a mile away in terms of how things were just going to completely backfire and things like that. And it's like, how is it that we see it and these people that live and breathe this for a living, or whatever, that's their careers, how they can't see it? It's just ignorance. It's just arrogance. They think that they know better than everybody else. It's just crazy. Like, I mean, just one more thing about Aaron Glenn, just to show you like what's so crazy about this whole thing. It was during this week, the press conferences leading up to this game this week. One of the reporters asked Aaron Glenn, like, so when have you actually seen like your brand of football being displayed? Because he talks about, this tough, gritty kind of type of football that, we're supposed to embody, which obviously has not happened here. And he could only reference the Jacksonville Jaguars game once we were already down by fucking 1 million points. He referenced this one drive where we scored a touchdown with Isaiah Davis, and he was talking about that it was like one of these. I'll send it to you, once we get off the air. And he's like referencing this, like, this was like gritty and we had a lot of good ones. And it's like, bro, like, it was garbage time. It was already garbage time at that point because they were up like 28-0 or whatever it fucking was at that point. Like, and he's like, and like, that's his answer. And he was like dead serious about it. He's like, that was like a really good moment of like showing my brand of football. It's like, well, bro, if that's your only example, we're fucked. Like, what are we talking about here? It's unbelievable. I mean, that's what I mean. Like, he's embarrassed himself in so many ways. Like, it's a joke at this point. Like, I mean, it's the Jets. So like, you're right. They're probably going to keep him, but my God, like, get rid of him. He better be fired tomorrow. I'm sorry. And I hate to be like that guy that's wishing for someone to get fired, but it's just, we've been, as Jet fans, where it's been too long, man. We cannot wait for this guy to like learn how to be a head coach, man. We need someone with experience. Stop it, Woody, with these fucking, Robert Saleh and fucking Aaron Glenn and these first-time defensive guys that have no idea what they're doing. Same thing with Todd Bowles, or whatever. He was on Arizona, but whatever. My point being the same thing. We need something different here, dude. And, unfortunately, our fucking teams don't seem to want to change.
Nope. And a stat that I'm just seeing now, I'm not sure if you saw, Casey, coming from Rich Samini via ESPN Research.
Yeah.
The Jets trailed by double digits for 53.1% of their offensive plays this season, the highest percentage by any team this century. The only teams that had more than 50%, the 2011 Bucks at 50.5%, and the 2000 Cardinals at 50% flat.
Wow.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, this is the shit that we've already broken 3 fucking records that were like in a century. I mean, we're talking about no interceptions, getting blown out by 23 points or more in 5 straight games, and now this fucking stat, 53% of the time. I mean, this is the shit. I mean, like this. I mean, it's idiocracy. I mean, it's like that fucking movie Idiocracy. It's just like, I cannot believe this is real. And like Woody Johnson's like just gonna be like, oh, this is part of the rebuild here. Like, fuck that. Like that. This guy is just not it, man. And we'll see, man. But it's just that, I feel like we both just have this feeling here that we're gonna do these things again next year. And we're going to be talking about the same fucking thing and just being like referencing probably this episode and being like, we talked about it then and nothing happened. And here we are again.
Yeah. And look, we love to be proven wrong.
Yeah.
Like it's not, there's no satisfaction gained for being right here.
Yeah.
This is, I would love to be like, hey, I was so off base.
Right.
Like,
right. Prove us wrong.
But the fact that they decided to stay with it. But like you said, it's an outlier. There are outliers you can try to find.
Yeah.
And that's all they are. It is not anywhere close to the norm when these sorts of things happen. Very soon thereafter, typically maybe a year at 2 most, they end up being fired.
Yeah.
But that's just that, you've seen enough to know. And yeah, like you said, your head coach and my GM
right
is, and that's where it is right now.
Yeah, that's where it is. And seeing Sam Darnold win another 14, win 14 games again for another fucking team and crushing it,
Right.
it's really like,
It's
it's
crazy.
sad, man. It's a sad existence to be a Jet fan. But here we are, and I guess the one nice thing is that it's finally over. At least we don't have to watch any more of this fucking
Yeah.
teams on Sunday anymore and ruin our fucking Sundays and make us miserable. Now we can just get false hope in the draft and
Yep.
hope.
It's false hope season. And
Yeah.
now everyone, come August, hey, you never know.
Right.
And,
Hey, yeah.
give a million different reasons why. Because look, our brains are wired to obviously want success, but you have to remember the reality of the situation. And the
Yeah.
Giants and Jets have proven long enough that it's going to take a lot for them to dig out of this. It's a scary thing in the NFL when you get yourself in these holes. You can last there for a long, long time, and hopefully by some miracles things can change. But these are the dregs. The Giants and Jets have been the dregs of the league for the past 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and it doesn't look like it's going to get better anytime soon, but maybe we'll be proven wrong tomorrow, guys. And if so, we will definitely make sure to hop on and talk about any firings that hopefully happen
Hopefully.
tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, this was New York football this year, guys. We appreciate you taking the ride with us as we basically just screamed into a camera at each other about our teams and how awful they are, and it's bleak as ever. But we will continue to be fans because we unfortunately grew up, as these types of fans here. So, yeah, man, Derek, just like any last words before we, I guess, wrap up these these recaps for the year.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's been tough. Obviously, there was the 2022 year was the one year since
Yeah.
doing these episodes that led to any bit of success. But hey, like you kind of get numb to it, and it's just man, it's just really frustrating. I'm glad it's over. I am.
Yeah.
It is like you said, it's a relief that to not have to watch this garbage. Until whatever September, as far as regular season games go. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's now we can just sit back and kind of watch real football.
100%.
And yeah, man, I'm happy it's over.
Me too. Me too. And yeah, guys, I guess that'll be about it here. And thanks again for listening as always. And please like and subscribe and share. We're up to about 2,300 subscribers last time I checked. So just again, thank you so much. These NFL hangs are going to be concluding for now, but we also do other content here on New York's number 2 sports show, including Ranger recaps that Derek has been doing, after every single game. So make sure to tune into those. And, soon before we know it, the Yankees will be here and we'll be obviously talking about them and doing series recaps. And, hopefully we'll also have some news on whether or not Cody Bellinger is going to be here or if there's going to be any kind of activity from the Yankees at any point here. But I think I saw a report that, the Yankees made a second offer to him. And so anyway, I think we might start getting some stuff happening soon here with him. And then hopefully the dominoes will start to fall. But yeah, Derek, it was awesome getting to shoot the shit with you. I know I wish our teams could actually bring us some joy, but, it was still fun to bitch about our teams with you. So appreciate you as always,
Definitely.
my man. And, we'll be doing it again sometime soon on some specials and whatnot.
Yeah, it was it was fun to be able to do this with you for the first year. And look,
Yeah.
look at it this way, it can only go up from here.
That's true. That's honestly,
Probably.
yeah, probably right.
Probably.
You will be surprised. Yeah, at least we are talking about the Jets here, that there's always.
Yes. We combined for 7 wins. I'd like
Right.
to think that next season it can move up a little bit.
Yeah, maybe we can hit double digits combined. That would be cool. That would be
It's
nice.
kind of fun. It's kind of a fun side note is
Yeah.
when you have a last place schedule as the Giants, and your reward for one of those last place teams is actually the Detroit Lions
Right.
on the road. That's awesome. I love that.
Right.
The Lions who finished 9-8 and above 500 record, where the Giants, you're supposed to gain this advantage of this last place schedule. Well, have fun going to Detroit next season.
Yeah, right, exactly. Have fun, enjoy. Yeah, so there you go. That's the beauty of, yeah, thank you 17 weeks schedulers here where you have to now have this fucking oddball, game here that's going to fuck you over. So, anyway. All right, guys, we'll leave it there. Appreciate you all, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.